Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Administering SCCM Current Branch and Microsoft Intune Integration tutorial. So in this tutorial, I'll be discussing on how to visualize inventory data in SQL Management Studio. So to start your Management Studio, you need to go to your Start menu. And on your Start menu here, we can just type Studio. And here you can see we have our studio. So I've already pinned my studio to my taskbar. You can see I can unpin from my taskbar. So let me just click on this Management Studio from my taskbar. So the studio SQL Server Management Studio is trying to start. So here we go. So here we need to actually connect to the server type. You can actually switch to a different server type. Here I'm going to actually connect to the database engine, and I can use this server name. But we can actually switch and use a different server name if, for example, it is connected to a different server than this server. And also we're going to use the full authentication, which is a Windows authentication, or we can use a different kind of authentication. And here you can see I'm using this logon name, which have full access to the SQL Studio. So let's just click connect. And in our Management Studio, we are only going to work here with the views, and we will not edit or touch any of the tables that have been created in the Management Studio. So if I go to my, just go to my database here, and mind you, the view actually provides us a safer way to view the data and join different data together if we want to create our own query. So if I go to the database, and here I go to my cm_brew, and I go to view. In this view here, you can see we have a long list of views that have been created and are constantly being updated by our client. This information have been presented to our SCCM, as our config manager. For example, here you can see the different. You can see the REST calls view that have been created. We have the DBO, for example, the DRS MS activity. So if I scroll down, you can see we have a lot of different views that have been created, the RA, and long list of views that have been created for us. But let me just go to one of these REST calls here. If I select, for example, let me select the SMS 0001, right click, and let's just select top 1000 rows. So it's trying to. Here you can see we have all the different devices in our environment. You can see the machine ID. You can see if you look very close, you can see that the ID of the machine is different from the unknown computers here. And also you can see the server. We have two servers. You can see the ID of the workstation. It's also different from the ID of the server. You can see the server ID started with 209, and that is the SMS ID, and that is the site code. And here you can see the site code of this is set to null, and also at this moment this is also set to null because we've not actually installed our config manager in our data center, and our config manager client in our data center. And also if I go to the client type, you can see everything here is just 11, and the value of the other devices are set to null. So let me try to show you the other views that are related to the query we created in the previous video. In one of my previous videos, I created actually a query. So every query you actually created is going to be actually created also here in your Management Studio as a view. So for example, let me just scroll down and go to one of the DBO/GS view. Let's just scroll down a little bit. If I go to here on the GS view, if you can remember, I created actually a query on a software. So let's search for software files. If I scroll down here, we have our software. And if I right click and I select top 100 reviews, here you can see we have all the different software in this environment. So let me just I can decide to expand this a little bit. So you can see what we have all the different software in this environment. We have the resource ID, the field ID, the product ID, and the file name. So if we scroll down, you can see we have, and mind you, you can see first of all the file is actually you can see the .dlf file and all different. So if I go back again to a software product, let me just select software product and select top 1000 rows. So in the top 1000 rows, you can see all the different software that has been collected from different machines to our database database. You can see we have, for example, the VMware tools, the Microsoft Office. I remember I installed the Office in one of my I think the Windows 10 device. So you can see all the different softwares, a long list of software that has been generated from our client devices. So to look for all the system installed on our device, so what we need to do is we need to go to the db .v, then arrow, then system. Let me just scroll down here and look for the arrow. I think we need to go to, yeah, we have the arrow, and here we can see we have the system. So you can see if I click on a specific view, I will not be able to see any information. So what I need to do, I need to right click and then select the top 1000 rows, and here you can see we have the information about our system. You can see our resource ID, the resource type, and some value actually set to null, so it's actually empty. So if I just take my mouse and just move a little bit, you can see we have some more information, and here you can see we have the distinguished name, for example the DNS Forest Guide. We have the information, I have the full domain name, and if I scroll down a little bit, I think if I go further here, you can see we have the name of that device. So we can actually move it. For example, the name, I can actually move the name to, let me just try to see if I can move the name more forward here so that we can see which name is associated with which table. Let me just go forward here again, and let me just move here. Okay, there we go. Here we go, and we can still move this to here, and then we have the name here. Okay, here we go. Here you can see I've already moved the name here, but if I scroll, let me just go back again. You can see we have some more extra information we can use to create a new view. So if, for example, we want to actually want to create a new view to get more information about our computers, so what you need to do is we need to actually just right click on our system here and then click new view. So by clicking new view, you can see we have our table where we can actually create our view. So let me just go to views. So here we have our view designer. So now I want to actually select, let me just scroll down, and I'm going to actually look for the v.arrow system. So let me just move a little bit to the arrow. I think I've passed it. Here we have our v.arrow system. Let me just select add, and here you can see that has been added. And so now I'm going to actually look for the video controller. So I'm going to look for the GS. Let me go up a little bit, I think GS, and then let me just add a specific view. I think I want to look for the video controller to add. Let's see. So if I just scroll up a little bit here under the VGS, you can see we have our video controller. So let me just click add. So here we go. Here you can see we have the video controller, and this is all our system. So let me just click close. So right now, if for example we want to join them together to see where the video controller is matched with a specific system, what we need to do is I will need to actually just take this resource ID, and I'm going to join it to the resource ID of the video controller. So let me just move this a little bit further. You can see here we have join, and also I want to actually take the name, let me just check for a specific info I can add. So let me just look for the name, for example. Let me just look for the name. I'm going to add the name, and for our video controller I'm going to try to add some other information. Let me just try to see if, for example, let me add the current, let me see the current refresh, let me just call the current refresh rate, the current scan mode. Let me add the current vertical resolution, and also I can just go down a little bit here and look for some extra information to actually let me add the maximum memory supported, and also we can decide to just scroll down and see if we have some other information we can also add. So I think we've reached the end of this. We can decide to add the status and also the status info. Here you can see the information, actually the query, like compared, it's almost the same to what we created in when we created a query manually on our config manager. So what we need to do right now to actually execute this query is just to right click, and here we can execute the SQL. So if I execute the SQL, let me just scroll down here, you can see we have some information here. So you can see it gives me about 4 devices. And also if I just go here, you can see the current vertical resolution is 1080 for the video card, and the resource ID here you can see is 1677219 for this, the N001. And also we have some other information for the different devices. And also if I go, you see the current scan mode is set to 4, and they're all 4, and for the maximum memory supported is set to null. So there's no value here. So but mind you, we can decide to add some extra. If for example I can decide to add some extra information, let me just go to select the name, and also let's see if I can add some extra information there. And let me see, driver info, and then what I need to just do is to execute again, and here we have our extra information will be added immediately. So that is how you add extra information, and then you execute, and when you execute, the information will be provided to you in the database. And here you can see we have our query here. It's almost exactly the same query we have. If I go back again to my config manager and I right click on my test query and go to properties, when I go to properties, let me just edit the query statement. So it's trying to open. Here, if I go to my criteria here and I show query language, you can see we have almost select XML system name. You can see we have our join query here. If I go back to my SQL here, you can see we also have almost like a similar query compared to the query we created from config manager. But in the future, I think you'll be working more from your SQL Management Studio than working from your query in your config manager. Thank you very much for taking your time to watch this video. My name is Kelvin Johnson, and please don't forget to click next to watch the next video on this SCCM tutorial, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more IT videos. Bye.